Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today we're having a look at this. Now, it isn't exactly what it first appears to be. Now, people will already be commenting, they know exactly what this is, and you're probably wrong actually, because I think most people think, oh, that's a nice 1930s radio. And other people are saying, oh, that's a 1990s Chinese piece of junk. And it's neither of those things. This is, like I said, something that's a little bit interesting actually. I picked this up off my mate Steve over at Steve's Vintage Long Stay Workshop. He was over visiting me the other day. And when I was seeing him back to his car, I spotted this on his front seat. I said, oh, that's, what's that? He said, oh, it's a radio from Romania. Why do you want it? And actually, I was kind of looking for something like this. Someone had asked me for a 30s or 40s-ish looking radio. It didn't have to work. It was purely for a shop display. So I thought, this is just the ticket. I mean, it's not a radio that initially that I thought I'm interested in, but it's got that look. It will do really, really well for use in that shop display. Anyway, as things go, they decided to go on a slightly different direction. They decided they didn't want a 30s, 40s theme display. They decided they wanted to go with something that was 1960s themed. So anyway, I ended up giving them an old 1960s style portable record player, which it's just a case really. It doesn't work or anything. There isn't even a motor in it, but it's ideal for what they wanted for a display piece for their shop display. But it did mean I was lumbered with this, and I thought it's not really going to be anything that's at all of interest to me. We turn it round and we have a look at the back of it. It's fairly obvious from the back that this isn't a 1930s radio, but it's not a 1990s cheap Chinese radio either. We'll have a look here. We've got made in Romania, and yeah, this it is actually quite interesting, because although this is like a relatively modern radio, the cabinet is fantastic on it. All these I've seen in the past, like I said, they seemed to come out in the late 90s. He saw a lot of these for sale, and I think they were all made in China, and the cabinets were pretty awful, to be honest. They were your particle board, chipboard, something like that, with like a faux fake wood veneer stuck on them, that if it was real wood, it was so damn thin, it didn't look good. It looked exactly what it was, which was a really cheap reproduction vintage radio. This is something a little bit better. This is proper wood veneer. In fact, underneath there is a proper bent plywood case. So this is not what you consider as complete junk. There's quite a bit of nice effort has actually gone into making this cabinet. It's not bad at all. I'll get into what's in the back of it, because even what's inside here is not what I was expecting, and it's quite interesting. But let's get on to first faults with this, because I mean, obviously, it's not going to work, is it? If it was working, I wouldn't be having it. I did a quick, initial look at this. First thing you want to look at is the plug. In fact, I haven't actually done that yet on this. I have literally just had a really quick little squiz over it, so we haven't even looked in the plug yet. So let's have a look, see how the plug's wired. Make sure we've got a fuse in there. Well, there's the first thing. We don't have a fuse in the plug, so I will have to find a fuse before we can go that much further with this thing. But there's a blaring obvious fault with this actually, and that is the on volume control there is not. It's not doing anything. This is the tuning control. I can tell that because as I turn it I can actually see the tuning dial moving in there. But the on volume control there is just not doing anything. In fact, it seems to have actually broken in the past, and someone's repaired it with a bit of metal or something, kind of like glued to the knob. So we'll have to see if we can do something perhaps a little bit better than that. But let's try. We've got an unbroken knob there. And no, there's something wrong with the actual switch behind there, because I don't want to try and force it because that knob's fine. I don't want to break it, and these are Eastern European plastic was never very good. I'll say that. I'll say that now. I love Eastern European electronics. I love the Eastern European computers. I love Eastern European radios. But the one thing I will admit straight off, they use really, really poor quality plastic. It's not good. So I don't want to try and strain that, but yeah, we'll have to see what we can do about that. Fortunately, the actual knob itself's not bad. It's you know, someone's done a rather primitive repair on it there at some point, and obviously that's not worked, and that is completely broken. That's just spinning in there, unfortunately. Right, what I will do, I will pop off and I will find myself a 3 amp fuse to go in there, so we can at least do a little bit more testing. So I'll be back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back. We've got a 3 amp fuse in the plug now. That will need rewiring because the wiring's not great on it, but it's good enough for testing. I've actually got my safety lamp out here, just because in fact we don't know, there could be a dead short in here. We honestly don't know. It's a completely unknown piece of equipment. So it is just to the advantage of us plugging this in. Like I said, if there's a dead short or anything, that will light rather than us blow the fuse in there or cause any more damage to the actual radio. So we'll plug in it. Now I'm not expecting this radio to do anything at all, because I'm pretty sure that control there is actually frozen. It'll be frozen in the off position. But just to see, let's switch on. Oh, it does actually work. Let's have a... or at least it worked for a second. Nothing. Gone completely silent now. Let's try a different waveband. No. No, completely dead. Let's switch that off. So we got a bit of static for a brief moment, and then we went dead. Let's see what's we've got this on. Let's get it switched on to FM. That's another reason why you know this is not a original vintage 1930s set, because it's got FM on it. Right, let's... No, it's remaining pretty silent now. Let's quickly try. No. Right, so we know we've definitely got issues there then. I do like the way that lights up though. That looks real. It does look pretty authentic for what it is actually. Right, let's switch off. Let's get that unplugged. And let's take the back off. Right, let's have a good look here now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Let's get them out. Let's see what we've got that can get them out. Let's try that. There's a bit on the big side. There's a bit on the small side. That should do. That's just right. Right, now I need a little pot to put these screws in. Where's my little screw pot? Ah, that'll do. Sorry, bear with me a second folks, I've just got a lid there. I can drop the screws in so I don't lose them. I have a feeling these screws have been out once or twice before, actually. I'll have to ask Steve where he actually got this set from. Alright, let's get this back off. There we go. And there we are. Now this is where I say this radio is rather interesting. Because let me get you zoomed in a little bit there. Right, there we go. What we can't spot in there, which is what I was expecting to see, is a radio IC. This is all done with discrete components. So we've got all discrete transistors, IF stages. This radio, actually, looking at the speaker here, I know when this radio was made, date, because there's actually a date on the speaker. The speaker was made in the 33rd week of 1986. So this is a 1980s radio set. But that circuit there, I would say, is probably late 1960s, 1970s, kind of how you would have built probably a portable radio. In fact, I am wondering if that's exactly what they did here, is that they had a load of old portable radio boards left over from the Soviet era. Well, no, this still was the Soviet era. This was 86. So Romania was still part of the Soviet Union back then. So perhaps they were from a set that, you know, they didn't sell anymore. That set, that actual PCB, it's got like big holes here. It's got other mounting holes which aren't used. I don't think this was originally designed for this case. I have a feeling, like I said, that someone in Romania back in the 1980s got a load of these PCBs and they decided to build these radios because they had these PCBs. That speaker looks like super beefy for what it actually is. It's quite a big speaker, that. Has it got a max... It hasn't got a wattage on it, it just says max 3 VA 8 ohms. It's probably, you know, a couple of watts speaker, 3-4 watts maybe. I mean, that's quite a bit of power for your little small radio like this. So, have we got an access panel underneath by the look of it? Let's have a look. We do. Let's get that off and let's have a look. In fact, it looks like we can actually get the entire radio chassis out. There's actually screws here. So this has been engineered much more like you would see, you know, an old style valve radio. Even though it is a transistorized set. Like I said, it's from the 1980s. All the construction of this is very much like we would find in a probably a 1930s, 1940s valve set. It really is quite interesting. Right, what else do we need to do to get this complete? What I'm trying to do basically is get this completely out of the cabinet so we can have a proper look at it. We can have a look at that faulty switch. I'm hoping it's just that's the reason that we just lost power there. Otherwise, we're seeing what we can do with that. And I don't think we're going to have any chance whatsoever of getting a circuit diagram for this thing, though it's a fairly standard AM/FM radio receiver. I don't think we'll really need one. I can already see capacitors here, which from previous experience I know can be a little bit suspect, so there's certainly things to look at on here. This, I'm sure this is like 1970s. This actual circuit board, like the tuning condenser there, the fact there's not a single IC on it, it's all transistors. I think even in you know, the Soviet era, by 1986 most of the radios that they were selling used at least one IC in them. Either it was the audio output was in an IC, or they actually used one of the monolithic radio ICs that, you know, have basically everything apart from the IF cans in it, and you had one of them, and you just had two ICs and your IF cans, and that was basically most of your radio in that one thing. That was your power output and all your tuning and everything in them two monolithic ICs. I mean, I think that was fairly standard by the mid-80s, even in, like I said, Soviet countries. I've spotted already, there's a crack in the PCB there, at the top there. It's a really super cheapo phenolic resin PCB. Again, something that they just seem to love in the Soviet countries. Yeah, it's 100% been out previously, because the aerial wire there has been cut and then tagged back on, and it's even still got the tail of the old wire just hanging on there. So someone has been in here messing about before me. Right, we need to get that mains connector there. Let me get you down a little touch there. We need to get that off there so we can free the mains cable up. And it does look like the entire thing comes out, a la a vintage radio. Right, so that's our strain relief for the power card. Now this switch here, which is our long wave, medium wave and FM, we need to get that free. Okay, so that's free, that's free, that's free. The speaker, I don't mind so much if that stays behind in the case. I just want to get this forwards basically so we can have a look at it. Now, I don't want to cut that wire. Let me see if I can get this knot out of the aerial wire and pull it through and out of the cabinet. The previous person that worked on this just cut the wire and soldered it back on. But if I can undo this, we can pull the wire out completely. I may end up doing, in fact, let me switch the soldering iron on. Excuse me. Oh, I've still got a little bit of a tickle in my chest. Still recovering from that damn lurgy. What I'll do while I wait for the soldering iron to warm up, let's get these chassis mounting screws out. There's even a serial number on the bottom there. Right, there we go. Now we'll desolder that aerial wire like the previous person to work on this did, because that knot's damn tight and I'd only end up breaking the wire. So let's do what they did, and we'll desolder it and then solder it back on when we've finished. There we go, that's disconnected. In fact, I'll probably do the same with the speaker. Let's see how much cable we've got to get that out. Right, yeah. And the whole radio now that is so cool. Let's push that back. And it is literally as though we was working on a vintage radio, this. So that's our suspect control there. Right, this has had some, oh dear, this has had some issues. This has definitely had some issues. So we've got a standoff there, which is, well, it's The screw's hanging out of it. It's been broken and looks like it's been melted together with a soldering iron. That is the volume control, which is completely stuck. Yeah, I've got it unplugged. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try tightening the nut there on the top of the volume control, and then I'll just see if I can actually turn that with a pair of pliers. Can you see what I'm doing there? What I might also do is get a bit of extra wire, so I can get those two speaker wires a little bit longer and get that a bit further out of my way. But for the now, so let me just see if I can tighten that up. It might be that the thread's stripped and it won't tighten, but there we go, that's tightened up. Let's get some pliers now and let's just see if that control. So it was all the way on, full volume. It does actually work. It's just very, 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 very stiff. So that's why the original control actually broke. That's just super, super, super stiff. I wonder whether a little spritz of the magic spray might just free that up a little bit. Let's get some in there. Get some in there. Oh yeah, look at that now. I can literally, that's bob on now. Little bit tight on the switch there, but I can at least turn it with my fingers. Let's get the unbroken knob. Let's try that on there. So that's right now. That turns perfectly. Right, so that's number one problem solved. So we've got that. So that works nicely now. That works without too much of a trouble. So what we've got to sort out that broken. In fact, what we've got to do is we've got to find out why the radio's silent as well. Let us switch back on. We'll plug it back in and switch back on. And yeah, that definitely works properly now, so I can actually switch. But we are completely dead. I can hear a little bit of something. And we're still on FM. I don't think we'll be picking anything up because we have no aerial connected at the moment. We just try switching it onto a different station because there is something there. You have to be a little bit careful, obviously, because there are quite a lot of exposed mains parts around that transformer. This certainly wouldn't hold up to modern safety standards. There's something there. But it's incredibly quiet. I'm wondering if we've got perhaps a crack or something on the well, we know we've got a little crack on the PCB up there. I can just hear a station. very, very quiet, but I can just hear a station. But what waveband are we on? Where have I put the back? So we're on medium wave. We should have a lot. There isn't that much on medium wave now, but there should be more than that. That work at all, that control. Oh yeah. Let's just see. And it's gone again. Do you know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering we've got a bad capacitor. As I've said, these old electrolytic capacitors, they do have a tendency to dry up and go funny. I wonder actually if I can do the old right, let me find a suitable capacitor. And what we might do is we'll switch it on and we'll just try bridging over a few of these electrolytics. In fact, that one looks all bulged on that side there. We'll try jumping over a few of these electrolytics and see if we can track down which ones fail, because I have a feeling that might be the issue actually. There's definitely a little bit of audio getting through, but not very much. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back. I've just spent a little bit of time with a capacitor. This is just what have we got here? It's 100 UF at 100 volts, and basically all I've been doing is going round and just bridging these capacitors here to see if I could make any difference. The trouble is I can only actually get to that one, that one, that one and that one. I can't actually get to any of the others on there, and I'm pretty sure that's where the issue is. I think it's probably one of these that's dried up in the audio section. Because if I put my ear to the speaker and I tune round, I can hear stations. So I think the actual radio side of it's working. It's the audio output side where our issue is. But I just cannot get into any, like I said, to any of them capacitors to even to just test it with a meter, let alone bridge a capacitor across it. So I think it means we're actually going to have to delve a little bit deeper into this thing and actually extract the circuit board from it. Unplug it from the lamp limiter. I've got it switched off, but even so, it's always safer than sorry. Just unplug it completely. Now, one thing I have to say, it's something I do like about this Soviet era stuff. I can actually get the PCB out of the radio without disturbing the dial string. I've found this in quite a few Soviet sets that I've worked on. They use it's a bit like a dog clutch or kind of like a meshing gear between the actual tuning condenser there and the mechanism that drives the dial pointer. Which is super cool for servicing, because it means you can actually take the PCB out and not then have to go to the nightmare task of restringing the dial. Someone has definitely 100% worked on this before though, because that screw is definitely not original. That is an original screw. Most Soviet era stuff always uses slotted screws, just single slotted screws like that. They didn't use Phillips screws in the Soviet Union. At least I've never seen it in any equipment I've ever worked on. That's a big honking great big self-tapping Phillips screw, so that is definitely not original. Right, we've got one more standoff I think to deal with, haven't we? Now, where's the screw for that? That's hiding under that capacitor there. Let's move you out of the way, and we've got one more there. Okie dokie. Right, I think if we're lucky, we should be able to now remove the radio chassis. Well, I've not removed. Oh dear. So I've got another standoff down there which is broken off. Someone like breaking the standoffs on this thing. And again, it looks like someone's tried to plastic weld it back together with a soldering iron and not achieved a very good. Oh yeah, like that one. God. So we've got some repair work to do there. They're going to be fun to fix. But before we even look at fixing them, let's see if we can actually get the radio to play. So we can kind of like get it out to at least this kind of extent. Still having it all connected up, and at least I can now get to those connections that I couldn't get to previously. Let's untwist this. Yeah, they come straight off the volume control there, so these are audio. That looks like we've got audio in and audio out here. So let me get this. Oh dear me. Right, there we go. Let's get that out of the way. And at least we can get in here a little bit better. We can still get that to tune it, yeah. We can still get to the volume control there, yeah. I'm guessing that's original. Is that going to that down there? I'm just trying to figure out, right, so we've got that and that. Are those our... That comes off there. So that fuse on the low voltage side then, or the high voltage side? Ah, right. Oh, that's fun. So this is one of these wonderful radios where it's always powered when it's plugged in. The mains comes straight into one side of the transformer, and the switch and all the fuse and all the other wiring is actually on the secondary side of the transformer. So there is no fuse protection in this on the primary side. There's no switch, there's nothing. You literally have mains coming in, converting it, stepping it down to a low voltage 12 volts or so-ish AC, and then everything else is done on the board there, the switching and everything. Not exactly a great bit of design that, but yeah, fair enough. Right, let's have another little look here. So that fuse there, which I presume is probably still good, or else we won't be getting anything at all. That's a low voltage fuse, all that's on the low voltage side. So what we're doing, we need to carry on looking at these capacitors, I think. I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to find the fault, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in one of these capacitors. The trouble is trying to find out exactly where the capacitors are. It's not a fun set to work on. Right, okay, apologies about that. My battery actually went flat then. My battery failed. Believe it or not, it's actually like 4 days later on now. My battery went flat and I went to change my battery, and it was, to be honest, it was getting late on when I was messing about with this. And I thought, oh, I'll leave it till the next day. And I woke up the next day and I dreaded lurgy was back. I've been feeling awful for the rest of the week. I can't seem to get rid of this damn thing. It is horrible at the moment. So you feel like you've got over it and you're starting to feel better, and you go to bed and you feel absolutely fine. You wake up in the morning and you feel like absolute death again. So I'm starting to feel a little bit better again now, so let's get back onto this thing, because I really need to get this off my bench, because I've got another little jobby I need to do for someone. Anyway, now, where was we up to with this? We've got it all apart. We've got some broken standoff, some things that we need to work on and address. But when we applied power to it, originally we got a brief bit of noise, bit of audio, and then it phased out, and we've not been able to get anything else out of it since. I mean, I've got it plugged in at the moment. We'll switch on, and no, you know, there's no. Just make sure that the volume control is actually on. No, it's not. Oh, there. Now this has been off for a few days. We've actually got a bit of signs of life there. Not much. Not very loud either. When we first switched it on, it actually came on reasonably loud. And it's faded away here again now. There's virtually nothing there now. Don't think that. I think that tune condenser's slipping a bit as well on there. So I still think we've got a bad capacitor. Now, let's switch off. We did before. I basically took a cap and just tried going over a few of the capacitors that I could reach, and it didn't make any difference. You know, usually when you've got an open circuit capacitor, I'm guessing most of the fault is probably going to be in the audio section on here. It's probably just going to be a bad electrolytic, to be honest. That's what I think the issue is going to be anyway. So you can do, like I said, just take another electrolytic capacitor and try bridging it out, and you might get lucky. Some of the ones on here are actually quite difficult to find. Now, there's another way you can do it, and basically that's by putting audio through the capacitor, and if the capacitor's open circuit you won't get any audio passing. It won't show you a short circuit capacitor, but I think what we're dealing with here is probably one that's dried up and gone open circuit. So you can use any audio source really, but years ago I knocked this thing up here. All we've got is an audio input. It's got a little amplifier in it, a speaker and some outputs, and you can switch between a capacitor a reference capacitor shall we say, and whatever you're testing, just like that. I'll power it up. Now we need an audio source to actually go in that thing, and what I'm actually going to use, before I've used like some royalty-free music or something, but I've actually got my old Behringer cable tester here. Now this can give out an audio test tone, so I've got it connected up to that. We'll give it an audio test tone. Now if I touch these two wires together now, we should be able to hear that tone. There we go. Basically what we can do now is we can go through all the electrolytic capacitors on here and just see if any of them are basically open circuit. So let's make a start. We're off, aren't we? We're all nice and safe now. It's like we've got this one down here. Let me get you zoomed in perhaps a little bit. There we go, that's better, isn't it? You can see a bit what I'm doing now. So we've got like an electrolytic capacitor there. And we can see the connections on the back there. We take these two wires which go to that little box I've just shown you. We can touch it on there, and yeah. So it's either short circuit or the capacitor is at least working to some extent. We've got another one here. We'll just see we've got the two terminals there, so we'll connect on there and on there. Yeah, again that capacitor's fine. Or at least, like I said, it's either fine or it's short circuit. We've got another one next to it there. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky working out where your terminals are. We've got one there, one there. Yeah, that's okay. Got another one here. In fact, that's on the speaker output. That could be a likely candidate. And that goes from there to now that sounds very weak. You hear how quiet that is? If I short the wires together. So we've got a possible suspect capacitor, which is that one there, which actually is the capacitor which is on the output to the speaker. So there's a chance that could be failing, because you'd expect, well, I mean, what's the value on it? Can't actually see, it's 12 volts. It's a 330, and these are I think these are 330 as well, so we can get a good comparison with some audio. So if I go across that one there, that's that connection in. No, there we go. And then if I try the same on this capacitor here, which is the same value, can you hear that there? You can barely hear it. So I have a feeling that, like I say, and that is the DC blocking capacitor for the actual speaker. I think that's bad. What I'll do now, I'll just spend a little bit of time and I'll go through the rest basically like that. I'll see if I can find any more which are faulty, and then we can perhaps have a look at swapping some of them out and see if that makes any improvements. So back in. Right, okay, I've been through basically just spot checking all the capacitors on here. So far what I've found, those two there seem suspect, and that capacitor there seems suspect. All the other ones are either functioning or they're dead short. So for the moment, for the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to concentrate on those ones that are definitely looking suspect. In fact, I'm going to concentrate on those two first, for the simple fact that's the capacitor, like I said before, which is the bypass for the speaker. So if that's gone open, we aren't going to get any audio. So I think that's what we'll do first. We'll pull, and let's just make sure we know which way around they go. So positive is this way, negative is that way. So I think that the connection there that's got the speaker wire on it, you need to disconnect that. There we go. Now we know where it goes, fortunately, because it's on the tag of this capacitor that we are removing. Okay, that come loose that way, and then that is the other side of it, I think. We've got to find the other side of it. There we go. And then we can also test it out of circuit just to make sure we're absolutely right, and that is the issue. Come on, out you come. There we go. Right, so there's the capacitor in question. And this is a 330 UF at 10 volts. And I've had issues with these capacitors in the past. They're not massively well, long-lived. Let's quickly test it with the audio out of circuit, and then we'll see if it works. Now then, obviously, like I said, that was not the fault, and that was a red herring. We could always just shove it back in, although I'll probably replace it with a new one. Let's go across that capacitor. That actually sounds okay. You can hear. We'll put a new one in anyway, because like I said, these tend to be a little bit on the unreliable side. Let's in fact, what I'll do is I'll do the other ones off camera, so this is going to take far too long. I'll swap them with the capacitors out with some new ones. I'll come back, in fact, if I find anything interesting, and then we'll get back and we'll see if that's made any difference. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back, and as you can see, things have escalated just a little bit. What I've done basically, I've got the cabinet out of the way. I've got this out of the way because I need to do a repair on that anyway, where them standoffs are broken off. And it was easier to actually work on just out on the bench like this. And basically what I've done, I've been through all those capacitors now. There was actually only one that was a little bit on the iffy side, and that was that one from up here, and I've just swapped it out with a modern one. All the other ones, that one I even decided I'd put it back, because I didn't. That's the closest, the best one I had to replace it with, and it's got very short legs on it. And to be honest, it was showing up absolutely fine. And I did whiz it through on the component analyzer, and it was coming up with a reasonable ESR, and it was coming up right 320-ish UF. It's meant to be 330, so it's good enough. Every other one that I tried, like I said, it was about the same, and there wasn't really anything that I'd say that capacitor's terrible. There was non-open circuit, there was non-short circuit. That one was it just had quite a high SR on it really, and if you look at it, you can see it has been leaking ever such a tiny amount on the bottom. So I thought I'd swap that out for just for the sake of it. Anyway, so I've got it all connected back up here, just basically on the bench. I've got a test speaker hooked up, because obviously I've left the original speaker in the cabinet. I'll switch on and you can see where we're at the moment, and another issue I've found which we're going to have to address before we can really move on much further. So I'll switch on. We can hear. We are actually now, I mean, it's not perfect, but we are getting something more out of the actual speaker. It does click slightly when I mess about with the wave change switch, which it wasn't doing so much before. One problem I've got now is the actual tuning condenser. When I try and turn that, the bit I'm meant to be turning is turning, but the actual tuning condenser inside is not turning. The screw inside isn't turning. So that's absolutely, it's turning now. But that's basically not fitted properly on there. That's loose. It's not allowing me actually to tune the tuning condenser properly. So before we can go any further, we need to address that. I think this is going to be a bit of an epic of a repair. Someone's already been at this set. It's already been repaired once previously. There's a good chance this came through one of the oh no, actually can't remember whether, I think he said someone gave it to him. So I don't think it come from a BVWS event or anything like that, but someone has definitely repaired this in the past, and I think they had a little bit more enthusiasm than actual know-how, judging by the bloody great big screw that was screwed through there and has split the one remaining standoff, which I'm going to have to repair. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll get you over a bit closer on here and we'll have a look to see what we can do with that. So back in a sec. Right, okay, there we go. We can see kind of now. So basically the issue we've got here first, but like I said, before we even carry on working with the electrical, you can see that's loose there, and it's not turning the actual screw in the centre, which is what is connected to the tuning condenser. And it's got this horrible, like red security paint on it. So we're going to have to get some of that off and then see if we can get that. It's turning. Let's see if we can get that out and see what the damage is here. Again, it's down to those horrible Soviet, if we look on the back there, all that's broken up. That should be solid like that. Oh, can't see what I'm showing. Basically where it fits, all the plastic's failed. It's all cracked up. So I'm going to have to come up with some way of fixing that plastic there, hold that in like that so it can actually bite on the tuning condenser there. The tuning condenser itself actually feels reasonably, well, it's a bit stiff there, but yeah, that's got stiff spots on it. I think that's probably what the issue is. Let's see, while we've got that out, that's something else we'll have to repair. Let's switch back on. Let's see if we can perhaps tune a bit more Now that's off. We can turn it better now, but still can't say there's. Let's see if we can get anything there. Hopefully, we should be able to at least pick something off one. There's something there then. In fact, I tell you what I need to do. I need to hook a crock lead or something up to the FM aerial input, and that give us some chance to perhaps see if we get anything to come through on FM. There's a little stub of wire there, because we have got a wire broken off there that we need to address, which is going to affect either long wave or medium wave. And to be honest, there's very, very, very little around here now that you can pick up on long wave and medium wave. We've still got radio 4 on long wave. We can still pick that up, or at least I could a couple of days ago. That is borrowed time. That was already meant to have gone off. And on medium wave now in my local area, I've got 2 Talk Sport stations, and that's it. That's all I can pick up in my local area on medium wave now. Right, see. No. Still nothing there. See, I'm not even sure which way around that switch is. I know one extremity is VHF, so it's either there or it's there. So we've still not got anything coming through like that. And I expect to get more audio coming through than we're having. And when I touch that there, we should be getting a buzz through. And we're really not getting very much of anything. Just a little bit of interference, but I still don't think that the output stage is working correctly. Those 2 output transistors there are absolutely stone cold. They've got no warmth in them at all. You expect them to have a little bit of temperature in them, but maybe not. Maybe with how little power this is going to be running, they won't do. But so far, like I said, we've tested all these capacitors. We know those are all okay. Every one of them's alright. That's all the electrolytics checked. I very much, doubt any of these film capacitors here. Sorry, these film capacitors here are going to be at fault. They're actually usually fairly reliable. The next thing we're on to really is going to be transistors and diodes, and see whether that's where our issues are going to lie. I think this is going to be quite a tricky set to get working, to be honest. It would be probably a lot easier if I had a circuit diagram for it, but I don't think that's going to be very easy to find. I might have a go. Radiomuseum.org. There's a slim chance I might be able to find it on somewhere like that. But so these were probably a very small production run. It probably was a case of some little factory in Romania, probably somewhere that made things with furniture, made things with wood, and they got hold of, I don't know, 500, 1,000, a couple of hundred of these radio PCBs and made these radios from them. Finding service data for this circuit is going to be incredibly difficult, I think, but there's a chance. But it's not going to be an easy fix. It's not a quick, simple, easy fix, this. I was hoping to just do a quick fix on this get it off the bench and move on to something else, but it's not going to be, and I really actually would quite like to get this working. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to leave this here now. I'll put this video up. I'm sure Steve will be interested in seeing it, and he might be able to give me some pointers, because I know he likes his Eastern European stuff. And anyone else out there that's perhaps worked on one of these or recognises that chassis from another radio and could possibly help me find some service data, which would certainly help me, possibly get this thing working again, I could really do with that. In the meantime, what I'll probably do is have a look, see what I can do about repairing some of these plastic parts, because these are going to have to be fixed. I'll make something on for the second video on perhaps doing some repair works to some of this, like this, and the standoffs that are broken off and things like that, getting them right again. But I'll get this out now, and like I said, I need help with this. It's certainly more interesting than I was expecting. I want to get this radio working. I'm really quite interested to see how it'll perform on FM, to be honest. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I said, if you've got any help you can give me, just bang it in the comments section. I will say thanks for watching and goodbye.